I guess it started before the toast, before the hand on the back, before the video I took that would change everything. I just didn't know what I was looking at until it was too late. We were in Tallahassee for Haley's promotion party. Her company had rented out one of those high-end hotel ballrooms downtown, white tablecloths, open bar, jazz band in the corner, the works. She was buzzing with energy, walking the room like she owned it. Everyone wanted to shake her hand. I just hovered near the side, sipping my drink, proud but out of place. I'd always been okay being the quiet guy behind the scenes. That night, though, I felt invisible. It was during the toast, her direct supervisor was up there saying all the right things, leadership, innovation, loyalty, that I saw her expression shift. It wasn't anything obvious, just a tiny hesitation. Her smile stiffened. She brushed a loose curl behind her ear and adjusted her blazer like she was suddenly self-conscious. That's when I saw him. He walked in like he belonged there. Confident, a little too polished, wearing that smug kind of smile you only get when you're used to getting what you want. Haley's eyes found him immediately, and in that second, I could tell she wasn't prepared for it. That look, it wasn't just surprise. It was impact. Like she got hit with a wave of emotion and was scrambling to recover before anyone noticed. Anyone but me. I asked her later who he was, but in the moment I could only watch. She made her way toward him, weaving through a couple of coworkers who were trying to get her attention. Her smile returned, wider now, a little forced. When they reached each other, they embraced. I've hugged plenty of people. I know what a friendly hug looks like. This wasn't it. This was a I missed you kind of hug. Oh, we're not supposed to do this here kind of hug. He held her like he had every right to, and she let him. My stomach turned, but I couldn't look away. I expected her to pull back after a second or two. She didn't. So I took out my phone. I told myself I was just being paranoid, that maybe I'd watch it later and realize I was being stupid. But some instinct kicked in, this raw, ugly feeling in my chest that told me something was off, and I needed to have proof in case my brain tried to soften it later. The hug ended finally. But then came the little things. The way they stood close, too close. The way she laughed at something he said, tucking her chin like she used to do with me. He touched her arm when he talked. And when they moved toward the dessert table, he placed his hand gently on the small of her back. Not high on the shoulder, not mid-back, low. That an asterisk mate, possessive spot. And the worst part? She didn't flinch. She didn't move away. She didn't even seem aware of me across the room watching the whole thing go down. I stared at her, feeling like the floor was slowly being pulled out from under me. And it wasn't just that moment. It was like everything she'd said and done in the months leading up to this suddenly took on new meaning. She'd started dressing differently a few months ago. Not drastically, but deliberately. Business chic became sleek and tailored. A new perfume that wasn't my favorite. She said it was for work. She started wearing lipstick more often, and I remember thinking, why are you trying so hard for your coworkers? She'd laughed it off. Then came the late nights, always a big project or a new client she couldn't afford to screw up. I tried to be supportive. Brought her coffee to the office once, but she wasn't there. Said she'd stepped out for a client meeting. Now, I wondered if she'd even been in the building at all. But I didn't know all that for sure then. I only knew that something wasn't right. And by the time we were leaving the party, I couldn't pretend anymore. We got to the car, and I waited until she started the ignition. The silence between us was thick, like the air was pressing in from all sides. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and opened the video. My hands were shaking. I pressed play and handed it to her without a word. She watched it. I watched her. No gasp. No apology. No, oh my God, that looks bad. Just irritation. Like I just accused her of something petty. Seriously, Travis, she said, her tone suddenly sharp. You were filming me? At my promotion party? I blinked. That's your takeaway? She scoffed and set the phone down in the center console. This is exactly what I mean. You're always looking for something that isn't there. Can't you just be happy for me for once? I stared at her, my heart racing. So it's my fault now? You're acting paranoid, she snapped. You've always been insecure, Travis. Always. I can't even talk to an old friend without being accused of cheating? Do you hear yourself? Old friend. I repeated. You didn't even introduce me. She turned to face the windshield, her jaw tight. You're blowing this way out of proportion. You embarrassed yourself. I felt this cold wash over me. Not just from what she said, but how she said it. Like she was above it all. Above me. Like the whole confrontation was inconvenient, something beneath her. And I realized then she had no intention of being honest with me. She wasn't even going to try. The silence in the car was suffocating. We drove home without speaking another word. That night, I couldn't sleep. I just laid there in the dark, staring at the ceiling while she breathed easy beside me like nothing had happened. My mind wouldn't stop replaying the night, her smile when she saw him, the touch on her back, the long hug, the way she made me the villain when I asked a question she didn't want to answer. I kept thinking about our son, 8 years old and bright as a comet. What kind of example was I setting if I just rolled over and let this pass? What would I say years from now when he asked why things ended? I had no answers. Only that feeling in my chest, the one that told me I was finally seeing things clearly. And I couldn't unsee them anymore. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of Haley in the shower humming like nothing happened. Sunlight poured in through the curtains, warm and golden, but it felt cold in that room. I stayed still, watching the ceiling fan spin. Every turn of the blades felt like another thought sliding into place, pieces of a puzzle that had been sitting in front of me for months, maybe longer, and I was just too trusting, too distracted, too comfortable to notice. I used to think suspicion was poison. That if you started looking for cracks in a marriage, you'd eventually find some whether they were real or not. So I avoided those thoughts. Buried them. Gave her the benefit of the doubt every single time. But after what I saw at that party, the way she looked at him, the way she deflected when I confronted her, I couldn't unsee it. That wasn't nothing. That wasn't a coincidence. It was a pattern. While she was getting ready for her usual morning check-in at the office, I sat in the kitchen, staring at the counter. My coffee had gone cold. My toast was untouched. Instead, I was thinking back, trying to remember the first time I felt it, that tug in my chest that something wasn't right. Maybe it started 6 months ago when she got that new wardrobe. Said she needed to update her professional image now that she was climbing the ladder. I remember standing in the bedroom doorway watching her zip up a new blazer over a tight satin blouse and pencil skirt that hugged her figure in a way her old office wear never did. I told her she looked great. She smiled, kissed my cheek, and said, "You're sweet. It's not for you, you know. Gotta impress the partners." That line used to feel cute. Now it sat in my stomach like a stone. Then there was the second phone. I remember when she brought it home, an extra iPhone in a matte black case, and said she needed it for client communications only. She made a big deal about keeping her personal and professional life separate. It made sense, I thought. She was handling bigger clients, landing new deals. But when I asked to borrow it once to check a restaurant reservation while her other phone was dead, she snatched it from the counter like I was reaching for a wee *p***n. Red flag? Maybe. I brushed it off at the time. We'd been together over a decade. You don't just leap to accusations. But now? Now, it felt like I'd been asleep at the wheel while she slowly rewrote the rules of our marriage behind my back. I remember the business trips, too. They started popping up more often. San Diego, Denver, once even Puerto Rico client networking, she said. But the dates never stayed the same. One night it'd be Thursday to Sunday, then suddenly she'd leave Wednesday and get back late Monday. I once asked her why the itinerary changed so much and she waved it off. Last-minute meetings, she said. You know how it is. I didn't. Not really. I run a small design firm, mostly remote, and my schedule is as stable as a desk lamp. I started to feel like she lived in a different world, one that only needed me as a backdrop. Then there was the pizza. That one hit me sideways. It was about 2 months ago. I was driving our son, Mason, back from soccer practice, and he was in the back seat, humming along to the radio. Out of nowhere, he said, "Remember when Mom's friend took us to get pizza? The one with the cool gray car?" I blinked. What friend? He shrugged. I dunno. One of her work friends. He let me play a racing game on his phone while Mom got the food. I felt my grip tighten on the wheel. When was this? He tried to remember. I think it was the weekend you went to Uncle Brian's fishing thing. Mom said we needed a fun day. I remember the exact weekend, 2 nights away at the lake with my brother. I came back to Haley in a great mood, more affectionate than usual. I thought she was just happy to see me. Now I wondered if it was guilt or a performance. I brought it up to her that night. Asked her casually who the friend was that took Mason out. She frowned, confused at first, then quickly laughed. Oh, that? You mean Carla's brother? He tagged along for dinner when we had the team dinner thing. Mason probably got it mixed up. She said it so smoothly I wanted to believe her. But I saw the flicker in her eyes. That tiny glitch. It wasn't just me imagining it. It was real. And now that I was looking for them, the signs were everywhere. She started leaving her laptop locked, something she never used to do. Her passwords changed. She used to hand me her phone to check messages while she drove, but now she kept it on Do Not Disturb. The second phone disappeared for a while, then showed up again in her gym bag one morning. I picked it up and the screen was black, completely powered off. She said it was a backup and I let it go. I was letting everything go. I didn't want to become that guy, the paranoid, obsessive husband who combs through phone records and emails. But now I realized I should have been asking more questions. Should have trusted my instincts the first time I felt her pulling away. I thought about our wedding day, her in that simple white dress with bare shoulders and messy curls, laughing through her vows because she got emotional halfway through. She promised me loyalty, stability, a partnership, and I believed her. I still wanted to. A part of me was desperate for this all to be some massive misunderstanding. Maybe Alex showing up at that party was a coincidence. Maybe her reaction was shock, not longing. Maybe Mason really did mix up faces. Maybe. But another part of me, the part that had been ignored for months, knew the truth. So that morning, while she was gone, I opened her laptop. I knew the password. She hadn't changed that one yet. It was clean. Too clean. No saved emails, no recent browser history. Not even work stuff. Like someone had scrubbed it with intention. I clicked over to her calendar. It was filled with vague entries: meeting, call, client lunch. But one thing caught my eye: an event marked Tallahassee, Hotel Elysium, scheduled weeks ago, 3 nights booked. Right next to it, no call zone. That phrase hit me like a slap. I looked at her phone later, too. While she was in the shower. I didn't have the passcode, but the lock screen notifications told me enough. Texts from someone saved as A. Not many words, but the timing lined up with the party. One said, "I saw you." Still the same. I wanted to throw the phone across the room. Instead, I powered it off and put it back. I was unraveling. Slowly, quietly. Not with anger yet, but with a kind of exhausted heartbreak I didn't even know was possible. I felt stupid. Naive. Like I'd spent months watching my own life drift off course and convinced myself everything was fine. But now I saw it clearly. She wasn't just lying about Alex. She'd been crafting an entire alternate life, one that didn't include me, not really. I was the steady ground she kept one foot on while she reached for something else with the other. And worst of all, she was dragging Mason into it. Letting him meet whoever this man was. Exposing him to the cracks in our foundation without even warning me. I didn't confront her again. Not yet. I was done asking questions she wouldn't answer. Instead, I started planning. By the time a week passed, I'd stopped hoping for clarity from Haley. It became clear she wasn't going to give me the truth willingly. Every conversation felt like it was rehearsed, too smooth, too packaged. Her smiles were tighter, her stories overly detailed in the wrong places. And her eyes never lingered on mine the way they used to. She was drifting, and I was done pretending it was a strong breeze instead of a decision. So I made one of my own. It was a Thursday. I remember that because it was supposed to be the day she was meeting a major client. She mentioned it twice at dinner the night before, made sure I knew how important it was. That's what tipped me off, how intentional she was about setting the expectation. She even pulled out her navy blue suit, the one she only wore for things like presentations or panels. I made a comment about how sharp she looked, and she smiled, kissed me on the forehead, and said, "Wish me luck." But I already knew. I waited until after she left, coffee in hand, second phone in her purse, and gave it 10 minutes. Then I got in my car and drove to her office. I knew the building well. 3 stories, all glass in the front. You could see straight into the lobby from the parking lot. There was a security desk near the elevators, but I didn't plan to go inside. I just needed eyes on her. When I got there, I parked across the street, angled slightly behind a delivery van so I could see without being seen. First, I thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe she was upstairs already. But then I saw her. She walked out of the building. Not rushed. Not flustered. Calm. And not alone. Alex was with her. It wasn't like the party, no suits, no crowd. This time it was just them. They were standing by the planter near the front entrance, talking closely, like they'd been doing this for years. Her head tilted toward him. His arm brushed hers. They weren't even pretending to be co-workers. And then they kissed. Not just a peck. Not an accident. A real kiss. Slow. Familiar. The kind that says, "I know you. I've missed you, I don't care who sees." I felt my fingers curl around the steering wheel. Not shaking. Not sweating. Just tight, like my body was trying to keep itself from breaking. I didn't get out of the car. Didn't storm across the street or pound on the glass. I just watched, rooted in place like I was outside my own body. It felt like watching a version of my life from an alternate universe. One where I didn't exist. She was wearing the exact same outfit she'd shown me the night before. "Client meeting," she'd said. "Important presentation." I stared at her like I was trying to memorize the moment. Because I knew it would matter later. I knew it would be the line in the sand. She wasn't confused. She wasn't tempted. She wasn't slipping. She was gone. After a few minutes, they started walking toward the back parking lot. He had his hand around hers like it was second nature. She didn't pull away. I turned the key in the ignition and drove off. I didn't know where I was going. I just drove. Around the block. Then toward the coast. My phone buzzed once. Haley, probably checking in to keep the illusion alive, but I didn't check it. I stopped at a gas station outside Quincy, walked into the bathroom, and splashed water on my face. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. My eyes were dull. My skin looked pale. I thought about how I'd spent years building a home with this woman, starting a family, planning vacations, painting Mason's room together, laughing over burnt pancakes on Sundays. Now she was standing on a sidewalk with another man, kissing him like none of that ever existed. On the drive back, I started thinking about Mason again, about the pizza story, about how she'd said it was Carla's brother and laughed it off. I remembered how she told me to stop digging. When I asked about Alex after the promotion party, I tried to let it go, for Mason's sake, for stability, for all the good years before things got weird. But those good years couldn't cover this up. They weren't a free pass. When I got home, I didn't do anything dramatic. I didn't tear up our wedding photo or pack a bag. I sat in the garage for almost an hour, the door still open, staring at the back wall. My tools hung neatly above the workbench. Her bike was propped in the corner, tires flat because she hadn't used it in months. There was a calendar pinned to the wall, April, with one date circled, Spring Trip Vancouver, the family trip. We'd booked it 6 months ago. A reconnection getaway, she called it. Just us, Mason, and her mom, who adored Canadian gardens and still sent handwritten notes. The whole thing was supposed to be symbolic. A clean start after her promotion. New memories. Quality time. Now it felt like a joke. That kiss outside her office changed everything. It was the missing piece. The confirmation I didn't want but needed. No more second guessing. No more benefit of the doubt. She wasn't confused. She wasn't unsure. She'd already made her choice. She just hadn't told me yet. She didn't have to. That night, she came home with takeout, Thai food from our favorite place. She smiled like nothing had happened, kissed me on the cheek, and asked if I'd seen her text. I told her no. She acted normal, talked about work, Mason's school schedule, even joked about how long her meeting ran. I stared at her across the kitchen island, watching her open cartons of rice and curry like she hadn't just spent the afternoon kissing her ex-boyfriend in front of her own office building. I realized I was watching a stranger, and she had no idea I'd seen it all. After dinner, while she helped Mason with homework, I logged onto my laptop. I opened the Vancouver booking site, went into our account, and clicked Cancel Reservation. The page loaded slowly, like the universe was asking if I was sure. I refunded the entire trip, flights, hotel, excursions. 15 grand back to the card. I deleted the confirmation emails and cleared my browser history. 3 days from now, she'd be at the airport with her matching hoodies. Bags packed, ready for the dream vacation she'd used as a cover story. She'd have no idea that everything was already unraveling behind her. Because I wasn't coming with her. I wasn't part of that world anymore. 3 days. That's how long I waited. I didn't speak a word about what I saw. Didn't ask for explanations. Didn't touch her phone again or go looking for more evidence. I had what I needed. I had that image, Haley's hand in his, that kiss outside her office, the way she looked at him like he was her anchor. That was enough. The hardest part wasn't pretending everything was fine. It was watching her pretend everything was fine. She kissed me goodnight like she meant it. She called me babe while folding Mason's socks. She even posted a throwback photo of us from 3 years ago, captioned with something like, "Grateful for the journey, no matter how hard it gets." I didn't react. I just watched. The detachment I felt was surreal. Like I was living beside my own life instead of in it. I moved through the days calm, methodical. The rage never came, not the way I expected it to. I wasn't punching walls or crying in the shower. It was something else entirely. Something colder. Cleaner. Like the part of me that once fought for us had quietly gotten up and left the room. On the second night, she sat on the bed next to me, rubbing lotion into her hands. "You still okay for the airport run Friday morning?" she asked. "Mom and I are planning to get there early. You know how TSA is." I looked at her. She looked back, not a trace of guilt in her eyes. I nodded once. "Yeah, don't worry about it." She smiled, leaned over, and kissed my cheek. "You're the best." I almost laughed. The following morning, while she took Mason to school and ran last-minute errands, I started packing. Not for Vancouver. For Valparaiso. I'd been sitting on the idea for a while. Ever since that kiss, honestly. I needed distance, physical and emotional. A reset. My friend from college, Nate, ran a historical preservation firm down in Chile. He'd messaged me months ago about an opening for a short-term design consultant. Back then I told him no. But now I found his name in my inbox and typed 2 words, "I'm coming." His reply came within the hour, "Room's ready. We'll talk shop over pisco sours." By then, I'd already canceled every reservation under our family's name. Flights, hotel, Airbnb day trips, even the reservation at the Vancouver Aquarium, the one Haley had insisted on because her mom loved the belugas. Gone. Every dollar refunded to my account. I even called the hotel concierge and asked them to delete our itinerary completely under the guise of a privacy issue. They obliged. I didn't delete the matching Family 2025 hoodie order, though. That part I let ride. Let her show up in those ridiculous coordinated sweatshirts. Let her scan the kiosk for tickets that didn't exist, frantically check her phone while airport staff politely told her there was no record of her name in the system. Let her mother raise an eyebrow. Let Haley scramble for a story. Because by the time they reached the terminal, I'd already be 30,000 feet in the air. I left early the morning of the trip. Packed light, 2 bags, essentials only. I left behind the rest. Our framed wedding photo. The little box of anniversary cards we'd kept over the years. Even the ceramic heart Mason made in art class that said Mom plus Dad equals home. I couldn't take any of it with me. At the airport, I checked in without issue. Valparaiso wasn't a quick flight, but it felt easy compared to the emotional miles I'd already logged. While I waited at the gate, I opened my phone. I'd saved everything: photos, *TS, the video from the promotion party, the footage of Alex touching her back, the text thread between them I'd found on the cloud sync backup, a hotel confirmation for a romantic suite 2 towns over that she had tried to delete from her inbox but forgot was synced to our shared iCloud. It was all there. Timestamped, clear, undeniable. I drafted the email carefully. No rage. No dramatics. Subject, you chose. Then I attached everything. I added one final line, "Enjoy Vancouver. I won't be there." And then I hit send. I included my lawyer's name and number at the bottom. I had already retained him 2 days earlier. The divorce papers were attached as well, served electronically the moment the email went out. No speech. No ultimatum. No, let's talk about this. Just consequences. As the boarding announcement echoed over the intercom, I turned off my phone and slipped it into my bag. That was the last act of my old life. I didn't look back. I found out later how it played out thanks to her sister, Claire. We were never close, but she messaged me after everything blew up. I think she wanted to know what really happened. Maybe she already suspected. She said Haley had shown up at the airport with her mom, both of them wearing those hoodies, gray with navy blue lettering, Family 2025, big adventures ahead. They had matching water bottles and neck pillows. Claire said Haley even had an Instagram story ready to post with the caption, "Let the family fun begin, airplane departure Rehart." But then the kiosk wouldn't pull up their itinerary. Haley tried her app. Nothing. Tried the airline rep, still nothing. Claire said she watched Haley's face crumble in real time, flipping between tabs on her phone, mumbling about "must have used the wrong card" until she opened her email and found the message. She read it once, then again, and that's when she went pale. According to Claire, she didn't cry right away. She just sat down on her suitcase and stared at the floor for a solid 5 minutes. Her mom didn't even know what was going on until Haley shoved the phone at her and said he left. No context. No explanation. Just that. Claire told me later, "You know what? She deserved that." She thought she had everyone fooled. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I already had what I came for: distance. Peace. A clean line between who I used to be and who I was going to become. That night, in Santiago, I had dinner with Nate at a rooftop restaurant overlooking the city. The air smelled like wine and roasted peppers. My phone buzzed more than once, Haley probably, but I didn't check it. Instead, I raised a glass and Nate asked, "So what now, man?" I smiled. For the first time in months, I meant it. "Now," I said, "I start over." I didn't expect the story to spread so fast. When I hit send on that final email at the airport, I thought the fallout would stay quiet, maybe a few family arguments, some whispers at her office. I figured Haley would make up a version of the truth and keep her world intact, at least on the surface. She was always good at controlling the narrative. But she underestimated the one thing she couldn't manage: people talk. At first, she tried to do exactly what I predicted. She posted a tearful video online the same day she got my email. I didn't watch it when it went up, my phone was still off while I settled in Valparaiso, but Claire told me about it. Said she looked wrecked in the video, sitting in her car in the airport parking lot, hoodie still on, her voice shaking. She opened with, "I never thought I'd be abandoned like this. My husband left us. Just left." No mention of the affair. No mention of Alex. Just vague emotional appeals and enough sad piano music in the background to make it sound like a true crime documentary. She said I'd blindsided the family. Said I cut and ran instead of trying to fix things like a man should. That line, "like a man should," hit harder than anything else, according to Claire. She told me I almost dropped my phone when I heard her say it. "Like you were the one who wrecked the marriage." And for a few hours it worked. She got sympathy comments, concerned DMs, coworkers texting her, asking what happened. A couple even shared the video in their stories with little broken heart emojis. But the truth doesn't like to stay buried. By the end of that weekend, cracks started showing. A guy named Paul, someone who used to work in her department, posted a vague tweet that said, "It's always the ones with the sad violin music who leave out half the story." It got traction. People started asking questions. Someone else, a friend of a friend, shared an anonymous post to a local gossip forum about a woman in Tallahassee who got caught cheating with her ex and tried to make her husband look like the villain. People connected the dots pretty fast. And then came the photos. Turns out I wasn't the only one with eyes at that promotion party. A colleague of Haley's had taken a few candid sh*ts that night for the internal newsletter. One of those photos showed Haley and Alex standing together, his hand clearly on her lower back. It wasn't scandalous, not in isolation, but it was enough to stir doubt when paired with her sob story. That same coworker, a woman named Kim, privately messaged Claire. Said she'd been uncomfortable with Haley and Alex's vibe 4 months and didn't like being dragged into a public lie. And that was just the beginning. Another former friend of Haley's, Becca, dug deeper. She had **ts texts. Apparently, Haley had once confided in her about rekindling something she shouldn't and described Alex as a reminder of what passion used to feel like. Becca had held onto those texts, unsure if she'd ever share them. But after seeing Haley's crocodile tears online, she snapped. She posted a blurred-out version of one text, enough to keep it anonymous but pointed enough for those in our circle to recognize it was about me. It read, "He's a great guy, but he's too safe. I miss the fire. With Alex, I feel like a real woman again." That post went viral, locally at least. Public opinion shifted quickly after that. Haley deleted the video within 48 hours, but it was too late. People had screen recorded it. Her attempt to paint herself as a victim had backfired spectacularly. The comments turned. So did her coworkers. Even the PR team at her firm, people who usually smoothed over messes, started backing away from her. And that's when Claire dropped the final match. She told people Alex had moved into my house the day I left. That wasn't something I'd even known for sure. Claire found out through a neighbor who noticed some guy with a gym bag and cocky attitude pulling into my driveway that very night. She confirmed it when she visited to drop off Mason's swim gear. Alex answered the door. Claire didn't say anything at the time, just smiled politely and left. But when she told me what happened later, her voice was tight with disbelief. She really moved him in, Travis. Like she thought it was just hers now. No shame at all. When that news made it out into the open, the last of Haley's defenders